The first commandment of Deep Space Nine is if thou shalt go to commit crimes, thou shalt bring Garak. Here on Future Please, a vile visit to Bajor. My name is Joseph.
You might think you're here to listen to what I'm saying, but really you're here to listen to what I'm making Joe say. I'm your co-host, Peter.
Peter, I do not want to waste any time today because I think we have a lot to talk about on this week's episode of Deep Space Nine we're reviewing. What is its name?
Season 3, Episode 5, Second Skin, first aired October 24th, 1994. Written by Robert Hewitt Wolf, directed by Les Landau.
In Universe Date 2371.
2371.
No start date, no captain's log.
You know, I don't really think
we don't get those often. Yeah.
No. You
pointed this out before, and then you pointed it out, and the next week there was one. But yeah, it's an uncommon occurrence.
I did not know we were getting a Garak episode.
Yeah, it's a secret Garak episode. Garak doesn't show up until Act 2. He just, oh man, I wonder how we're ever going to solve this problem. And then suddenly it's lunchtime with Bashir and Garak. Oh, never mind. I know exactly how we're going to be solving this problem. How convenient.
Very, very clever episode that I at first thought was going to be kind of a drag and a bore, and never hit those points at any point, despite continually trending towards that direction until the big reveal, and then it was just fucking tits out the whole rest of the way.
There's a economy in this episode that once again focuses on our favorite classic Berman Trek accidental genius, and that is by reducing the scope of the scenes and forcing actors to just act with each other, you maximize the opportunity that the script is providing you. And it's a bit repetitive of us, right? The actors on Deep Space Nine are good. Oh my God, Joseph and Peter, the first people who ever fucking think of that. Now I get it.
We are the first people that ever sit through Enterprise.
And then came to this. That's true.
And Picard Season 1. So, these people who got to watch this in 1994 did not know what the future of horror looked like.
Yeah. Hell, even Voyager, man. Ugh.
Yeah. So, you and I praising Deep Space Nine, this is coming from a traumatized, molested place.
It's just the small stuff that continues to add up for me. Just even in the teaser, when Quark is talking to Dax, and Quark is clearly flirting with Dax, and lightly touches her arm and stuff, and they have this kind of close relationship. It's the scene isn't even focusing on that, but yet the actors are taking the time to make sure they're communicating that in nonverbals on screen. And throughout this episode, particularly, obviously, this focuses on Kira, season 1's main character, and Nana Vister knows precisely what she's doing on this show and is very good. It just makes everything so much more enjoyable to watch when you can just dive into the little details and the little things that everyone in this did to make it as good as it was, because they really had to believe in it. So okay, I'm in all this makeup. I'm acting like I'm an alien who's been turned into another alien as part of a conspiracy to out a political opponent. And you have to get in your head space as an actor of I have to treat all of this like it's deadly serious or it's not going to work. And you do.
I want to get back on my crotchety old man seat. Picard Season 1, Voyager, which came after this, Enterprise, which came after this. That's still, Berman adjacent or whatever. But then Discovery, big chunks of Strange New Worlds. The special effects have gotten much better. But man, they're not able to get that lightning back in the bottle for just the small scale good scenes. And if you're sitting there and you're making TV, especially Star Trek, in 2024, 2023, 2025, it's clear to me they're not looking at any of the old stuff that did really well to see, hey, you know what? These scenes are fucking killing. We don't need to have the camera moving. It doesn't need people running down the hallway or, my favorite term that you used to bash Discovery, which was unearned emotional scenes.
Correct.
We're just gonna it's just a smash and grab to try and keep eyeballs on the screen with as much movement and chaos as possible, or singing or whatever. And then you got like this televised drama going on here that's doing amazing. So I think rightfully Orville was able to recognize the genius here, and that's how you got some really super solid Orville episodes. Thinly veiled politics in there, but it's just people sitting in boring looking
Right.
um,
Seth
holiday
MacFarlane got it.
inexpressive.
Like he understands what made this good because he actually authentically likes it. Which is why there was all of that talk for so long of like, is there some way to get this IP in his hands?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there anyone else in Hollywood with the juice that could possibly have actually resurrected Star Trek and returned it to form in a fashion that would have been marketable and profitable for whatever company wound up with it? He's the only one who's demonstrated he gets it. Maybe aside from Terry Matalas, and
Mm-hmm.
even that, like even season 3 of Picard was limited by the material available to him, his lack of budget, and um, the age of the actors that he ultimately brought in to try and finish the story. This episode is fantastic in my opinion, and probably my favorite of all of season 3
Hmm.
because of the small like just some of the very artistic nature of how they set scenes up so that you can be placed in these positions as the viewer, and we'll get into this, that really deliver on the drama in a fashion that required a lot of thought and detail with with the economy of I'm just shooting this in a room with actors and makeup.
So we open up at the replimat.
Yeah,
You've got Dax sitting there, very salty seeming, and instantly I'm forced to wonder: is this her just playing up cranky because she's getting stood up on a date, or is this our what was it, Equilibrium, uh, the the murder hobo DLC that she has recently installed?
right. I'm really contemplating all these murders that a past life committed right now.
God, I don't know if I want to strangle someone or tickle the ivory. Ugh, these feelings, so strange. And like you said, Quark comes over and is like, "Aw, I know that face. You're mad. You got stood up again." Which first you're like, "Well, who stands Jadzia Dax up for a date? Like she's got all the wrestling coaches and whoever she wants here." Nope, it was a girl date with Kieran Nerys. They're supposed to go, I don't know, hoverboarding or something on the holodeck.
I appreciate that Kira continues her position of I hate frivolity. I'm from I have grew up in abject poverty and or murdering Cardassians. Therefore, going using my off time to go fake surfing in a technological wonder seems like a waste of time. Um,
Her line there that I loved is, you know what I say? Anything worth doing on a holodeck is worth doing in real life, which is the first time that that sentiment has ever been uttered in the 24th century on screen.
and it comes from someone from a society of tremendous scarcity, right? Of someone who has to appreciate everything in life as sort of a base level because it's been a very difficult life.
I feel like she's really just criticizing B'Elanna Torres, and she wants to tell B'Elanna Torres, strangling Cardassians in a murder cave on the holodeck is just empty calories. Like, go do it for real, you pussy. You could be doing real good in this world. Instead, you're just masturbating in the cyber cave.
Well, like, it's not B'Elanna's fault. B'Elanna was stuck in the Delta Quadrant with no Cardassians in sight. Like, if she's going to kill a Cardassian, it's either find Seska, get
Good
your
luck.
yayas out, and it's a one-time deal, or you make a cave and you just get it out. Like, you
Listen,
know,
the Cardassians might not have been there, but there were plenty of other space fascists that they could have strangled in the caves.
she could have captured them all and have the doctor like, all right, make them up real good. Send them to the cargo bay. Set it up like some sort of fucking bargain basement Hunger Games.
American Gladiator set, but all
It's all the
instead of
jackbooted thugs from the episode when Janeway has to act like a hooker.
instead of
Dance
Nerf,
for me.
Nerf bow and arrow, it's real bow and arrow and spear guns and stuff. The idea really made me think hard. Like, okay, let's forget for the fact that, Nerys is from this allegedly war-torn shithole.
With no blankets, but also and farmland that doesn't work, but doesn't have time for the refugees. Yeah.
Like, she has had this terrible childhood and she has had this terrible adulthood, and now she is working this job that's working her ass off and she's super busy. The idea that she wouldn't kind of marveling and being like, oh my God, like I would love to go sailing in a safe, but like, let me get these life experiences, because all I've known up to this point is hiding in trenches and murdering people at night. But if we ignore that for a moment, like, yeah, you've got the holodeck and it's great and it's right there at your fingertips. You're also living in this post-scarcity society, kind of. You've got these Federation ships coming through. Like, yeah, like, let me take my vacation, or let me take my weekend. Let me go down to the planet's surface or whatever, and let me do this thing for real, because we can move faster than light. We can transport through thin air. Money's not a big deal. And I have these resources, like, especially like the Federation deeper in, you could do whatever you want. That we were talking in a couple episodes that it was ridiculous that Sisko and Curzon Dax never actually made it to Trill to go sightseeing, because the tools are there to do it. You could use the shore leave. Why? Yeah. Do stuff on the holodeck when you could make a big deal out of, like, hey, we're going to go rock climbing off of planet cliffs or whatever.
I think it is suitable sort of affectation of Kira's experiences that because she spent all of her time, as you said, rolling around in trenches and murdering people, that she values experiences that are these novel, potentially exhilarating things as something she wants to experience in person. Like, she has to live life in full color in real life because she has been deprived of the opportunity up to this point.
Well, also off-putting is the phone call she gets that she decides to take on the public payphone.
Yes. Like, oh, what could possibly go wrong as I take this call in front of literally everyone walking by?
Yeah, at this gas station. Hey, I'm doing research paper on this, this death camp, I'm assuming, on Auschwitz, and I wanted to get your firsthand account of this. And she's like, what do you mean? I know that death camp, but I was never there. Sure you were. Look at these records. And we know that the Cardassians keep impeccable records. Something is up. Kira says she wasn't there. The records say she was. And before we have a chance to go to main title, the camera pans up and we see a very sinister looking reverse elf. There's elf ears, but they've been turned upside down. So they're like little dagger dangly pieces.
I don't know who that is, but they didn't know about the Voyeur vent. Like, instead, it's like, yeah. Instead, they're very clearly leering from the platform. Like, you need to use the Voyeur vent in these circumstances. Kira's one head turn away from knowing you're somehow guilty.
Listen, like, these gas station employees, they're getting smart quick. All right, they will soon learn to look up, and then the jig will. I've just been given this very shocking, awkward news. Who could? The fuck is that up there? All right.
Yeah, it's like, how many times are they going to do the trope of someone is going to be watching them from the promenade with a sinister look on their face before eventually that's literally the first thing they do as soon as they hear something, like, all right, scan the skies. Like, who is looking at me watching this happen?
What alien race is that? Does that alien race, are they notorious for a bad resting bitch face, or is this person being sinister, like actively sinister right now?
If they knew about the Voyeur vent, wouldn't be a problem. I got to ask Jake and Nog.
We get a cool scene with Garak.
No, it's Odo. First, Kira goes to Odo. And I actually really like the scene because Odo's like, do you know exactly where you were 10 years ago at this time? And she's very emphatically like, yes, I was starving in mountains with my resistance cell. It was very memorable experience. I know I wasn't in fucking prison. All right. Like, unfortunately, I was doing something else that was also bad, but
Mm-hmm.
okay. It was very credible, right? Like, she's like, I have no doubt in my mind. I was not in this prison at this time. I was starving in the fucking mountains with my murder hobos. So it was like, okay, well, we better look into this. These are the people who the records say were your cellmates, so we should start with them. And that's when Kira contacts that guy, who's this kind of like fat Bajoran dude who acts like he knows who she is, and then sort of eventually comes to the revelation. And it's effective in that Kira's reaction is a growing sense of dread of this went from a bad record keeping to this person who was a prisoner is telling me I was there and I don't know it's there. So this is suddenly getting much weirder, right?
And you're dealing with the Cardassians. And this is the main thrust of this episode by the end, is that the Obsidian Order is a top tier threat / organization. And that while the Cardassian Empire as a whole is nowhere near as powerful as the Federation in terms of space combat and resources to effectively wage war, that does not mean that they cannot vastly exceed other empires in terms of terror, right? You don't need
They're
the
good. They're very
fastest
good at
war.
spying.
You don't need the fastest war, not even spying, but just torture and stuff too. Like, you
Yeah.
don't need the fastest ships. You don't need the strongest disruptors to be terrible to your own population and to be monstrous to those that you have in your clutches.
And
And
it's they call it asymmetrical warfare. You know, like you get your advantages if you can't compete on a traditional battlefield through other means that oftentimes, if you're willing to be the least moral, you can get an advantage. And that's what the Cardassians have figured out.
And they are certainly willing to stoop as low as it takes to get a job done, and whatever that job might be. So you've got amazing liars who are dumping tons of resources into elaborate ruses and mind games and fuckery. Uh, it feels like you're fighting Nazis with these guys, but there's like real strong like thieves guild vibes, right?
Yeah, and it's not Nazis in the way that I think most people consider it, because not to go too deep in historical parallels, but I think it's an important like separation between that statement and the truth within the story. The Nazi government at the time it was in power in Germany was its government, but it wasn't necessarily representative of the people in the whole sense. It had power, it retained power, its power was absolute, but it was still a relatively recent revelation. Like, the Nazi government was really only in power ultimately for about 15-ish years. And as a consequence, it wasn't really the identity of the German people or the state, really. The Cardassians are crafted essentially as a civilization in a fashion to support this government, right?
Service to the state.
Correct. It is from and not just recently, but for what we understand to be centuries at this point. And so there's a deep roots that have been planted as it relates to their subservience to this machine that is becoming increasingly monstrous in ways that obviously this episode actually expresses that there's some people who reject that. So the phenomenon you're talking about, like the consequence of it is the people are more willing to accept more of this sort of monstrosity from the government because it's been going on for generations.
It's all they've known, and it's
Right,
all
it's
they
worse
can
than
know.
Nazis. Be honest, it's worse than Nazis.
It's what all of your culture has turned to reflect on. What was it
Right.
called? Unending Sacrifice or something? Unlimited Duty. Garak's favorite book about generational buy-in to the state apparatus. And the one person who knows all of this all too well is Kira Nerys. And there she was thinking she was going to get to have a hangout with her friend, and now instead she's being burdened by knowing that the Cardassians are somehow pulling her into some bullshit.
Yeah, they're
So
up to some tricks again, and I've got to figure out what the tricks are.
she talks to this guy, and he's like, yeah, I remember you. And she's like, well, fuck. I know these guys have a very complicated spy program. Like, is this new bullshit? Do I have false memories somehow? Like, what the fuck is going on? I need to get a closer look at this. She makes a critical mistake in that she does not bring a buddy with her.
Correct. Violated the Starfleet buddy system because she's not in Starfleet.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know it. Yeah.
Off she goes to Azeroth to try to investigate this this prison camp to get more information. Meanwhile, Garak, speaking of slippery fucking Cardassians, you got Garak and you got Bashir hanging out.
Yep.
And we're going to start hammering down some details that had been discussed earlier. Specifically, why is Garak on Deep Space Nine? And the takeaway from reading between the lines on that scene is that Garak is on Deep Space Nine and cannot leave Deep Space Nine under threat of death. That he is there as an active punishment with a belief that if he leaves, someone's going to shank him.
They even take a moment to recognize the continuity breaking episode from season 2 when they go to Bajor. I say, like, aside from our brief visit to Bajor, I have not left the station. And it's made clear through dialogue is that the reason why he remains is that it's the safest place for him, because it's the place where the Cardassians have the least capacity to do violence to him. I know your theory was that he was still working. I think this is starting to paint a different picture for you.
I don't. Again, you are indebted to the state service for life. There is no retiring, and even in a discommendated, shamed punishment, there's still an obligation on you to perform to the state. So
I think that Garak believes that, and Garak continues to serve. I don't think that the Obsidian Order or the Cardassian government views it that way.
Then why would they use him as a communication medium? Why would they use him as an interface to Cisco when all those
because he's choosing to do it, not them? Because he's the one who's like,
if he was truly a burnt agent, he would have reached out and said, hey, here's this thing going on. And they would say, fuck you, we're not talking to you. Instead, they are still officially interfacing with Starfleet.
He always talks about how he talks to old friends and he's got his informal network of people he knows.
No, listen, when they showed up, gosh, I think it was a space terrorist episode where the guy was going to blow the wormhole up and like a couple warships show up. He diffuses that entire situation with Cisco. Like he's direct. Again, if he was completely burned, nobody would talk to him and he would have zero juice. He's still got pull. I think he's there. He's being punished. But they're still using him because why wouldn't you? You know, this guy is loyal to Cardassia. Take advantage of this guy you have there. It's just an assignment he can't say no to. And I'm thinking about this Bajor situation. I'm assuming that the beef that the Obsidian Order has with Central Command goes bigger than him and Gul Dukat. So, yeah, when he went off station to go help Julian rub Gul Dukat's face and shit, like, I'm sure the Obsidian Order, it's like, yes, Gul Dukat getting embarrassed advances our objectives. Let him leave to do this, and this can be a little vacation for him before he goes back in bondage.
And I guess I don't want to advance our conversation too far, but how do you square that with the end of this episode then? Like, it's a pretty clear, like, hey, we were willing to leave you alone, but now that you've decided to fuck around and find out, the leaving you alone is over. That ultimately caps the episode.
There are different camps within the Obsidian Order, and that he has the most important camp, which is, what's that guy's name? Elam, no.
Elam is Garak's first name.
Right. What's his mentor's name?
Oh, Jesus. I forgot off the top of my head. I know what you're talking about.
Super spy guy.
His old spy boss, yes.
Who's retired. I mean, he's not active in the chair anymore, but, you know, that guy certainly still has pull. That camp is like, all right, leave him alone. And, you know, there's other camps that are like, we should have killed him. And as long as his friends are still a little bit more important than his haters, that like any fucking overgrown
Bureaucracy.
corrupt
Yeah.
bureaucracy / spy agency, the everybody is not on the same page and everybody has their own agenda. And for some people, he plays well under their agenda, and other people are like, fuck it, this guy should have died a while ago, and we're going to be shitty.
So the primary plot from this point forward is Kira has been kidnapped, and when she awakens on Cardassia, she looks like a Cardassian, to her incredible and intense personal horror. Like, can you imagine something worse of someone who has a pretty solid background of hating the fuck out of a very specific race of people suddenly being, as she said, mutilated to look like one, and is told by a man named Entek repeatedly that she's actually someone named Ileana Gamor. She is an Obsidian Order agent who is so deep cover that basically her memories were faked so she could be this quote unquote Kira Nerys and be an agent on behalf of the Obsidian Order to report back, and that she has now been reclaimed. And as a consequence, she's going to be debriefed and provide information as her memories are returned to her.
Well, Robert Hewitt Wolf, hats off to you, because this is a big trope, right? This is My Life's a Lie, and I've been called back in. This is a TNG classic. It's usually Riker that's getting stuck in this situation.
Or Troy, or whatever, yeah.
Well, Troy was a hyper-specific Romulan version, but just, hey, you've been kidnapped, inner light.
You're in a simulation that a child is running to make you think you're, the captain of the Enterprise. Now, yes, your life is a lie. And this is probably the most unique take on it so far.
Well, the right way to do this wasn't, hey, Kira Nerys wasn't real. It was, yes, Kira Nerys was a real person, and we put you in, you are the imposter. And that bridges so many mental gaps, because like now it's not just a like, well, I know Kira Nerys is real because, I've got all these memories. Yeah, that person was real. We're not disproving her. We're saying that you're this other thing that has been.
We're going to show you her corpse. She was real.
And we're sinister. All this is well within our wheelhouse. That we can do a great job disguising people. That's the other thing too. Maybe our ships aren't the fastest, but our plastic surgeons do a real fucking bang up job. Remember that guy who looked like a coke dealer from Knight Rider that was stealing your photon torpedoes and framing
Miles O'Brien?
O'Brien?
That guy was a Cardassian the whole time.
Yep. So, hey, anybody can be a Cardassian, and Cardassians can be anybody. These scales are basically like silly putty, and we can mold them real easy.
And Entek does basically say these things. Like, have I described anything that's what's outside our capacity? Like, reminding you, like, everything that's happening in the plot of this episode has literally happened on this show already. Like, you've called it out. And it's reminding the character, but also reminding the audience to try and, like, have this sink in. Interesting note in the Memory Alpha. There was great deal of thought paid to the idea that they might end the episode with Kira not actually getting satisfaction on what if she's actually Cardassian or Bajoran.
I love that, and that was one of my notes, was like, how cool would it be to like go deep in the like, or just finish the show off and not really know, like,
never address it. Never
committing to the idea of like, maybe I am a Cardassian, but I'm going to choose to be the Bajoran, and that is how I'm going to live my life.
They chose obviously not to. They chose to put in some spackle that specifically states that she is who she thought she was. I think that's because they decided they wanted to have. They didn't want to necessarily have to continually readdress the question through the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And if they leave it open, they're leaving themselves like with this constant doubt that she has to feel from this point forward. And it's like, well, that might be too much.
In any other show, it would have been very welcome, but Deep Space Nine has enough other shit going on.
Yeah.
There's not a plot drought here, all right?
Kira, your character is complicated enough, and you don't need to have an identity crisis on top of it. In fact, your strong sense of identity is maybe one of the few things that helps you manage everything else. So, Entek is a very effective character in all of this because he obviously has his own agenda, why he's doing this and how he's done it, what the purpose of it is. And he's very much, he feels like as someone like Garak in that way, right? He's not necessarily as supremely effective or as charming, but he's able to do the multi-layer sort of plotting and thinking in a fashion that you would expect a seasoned Obsidian Order agent to operate. His goal is not to actually convince Kira completely that she is this person. She merely needs to bring enough he needs to bring enough doubt into her mind that she enters a point of crisis so that her father, quote, will react emotionally and that she will respond emotionally, and this will lead him to making a mistake. That's the fucking idea that he has, and I think that's really cool that's the play that he executes over the course of the episode.
You've made a universe that is so infinitely complicated because of the technology available that you and I can sit here with any of these plots and really go, well, they've got this one. Enterprise had the cell ship from the Putty Boys that could cloak. Like, you could solve these 15 plots with this resource. Replicators could do this thing. You could solve these plots with this resource they have. Transporters can do this. Like, you can't tell stories in Star Trek as a writer, usually being fully cognizant of all the tools on the table.
That's true.
This is a great episode because Robert Hewitt Wolf knows all the things that these space people are capable of and goes, okay, what if someone was really willing to sit down and just be as unscrupulous as fuck and make the biggest Rube Goldberg machine possible just to catch a guy being dirty? And they did it. And that's what happens here is you've got plastic surgeons and kidnapping and psychological warfare and all of this stuff for a plot twist at the end that I didn't see coming at all. And there's little stuff that happens through this episode that's kind of like the amount of conversations about Kira that happen in front of Kira. And it's like, why wouldn't the spy go and have this conversation out in the hallway or away from her? Like, obviously they're trying to antagonize her, or, like they're taunting. And I figured I can't accept that it's sloppy writing because the writing is too good on the show at this point. So they're doing this as part of the psychological conflict on her. No, it's on the psychological conflict on this guy. So he's watching her go under duress, and that they're exacerbating this situation intentionally for the big plot reveal, which is amazing. But Kieran Reese knows all of this is well within the capabilities of the Obsidian Order. She's sticking to her guns. She doesn't want to watch the video file of herself, giving her total recall speech where, Schwarzenegger's like, oh, hey, man, it's me. We're doing this on purpose. It's all true. You are the bad guy. It's very deep storytelling. It's very rewarding, and watching them forge this relationship with the people around her is great. Because again, you're just like, all right, they're trying to interrogate her. They're just doing fucking raw ass shit to her. No, it's this other guy that they're stealthily developing into a pretty decent guy.
You said something really interesting everything you said was cool, but you said, I refuse to accept it as sloppy writing because the lighting is so good. So it allowed you to dig deep on what was happening around you and think about it. Like, okay, I can now give so much credibility to the people making the show that something that feels like a plot hole, I'm going to reserve my judgment while I'm watching it. And I'm going to allow myself to think about why they're making this choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, that this is something that I wouldn't expect them to do if their goal is what I presently believe it to be. And it pays off. You're actually correct to take that position, because in the end, this was about trying to get the two of them to bond emotionally sufficiently such that a man who is a father will see her as a daughter and decide to do the sort of thing a father does for a daughter who's in distress. Like, that's the fucking goal, is to make him believe it and to make her believe an enough uncertainty that his emotional response governs his actions. Right?
So she takes it, yeah.
And it's such a brilliantly crafted, like you said, you didn't see it coming. I think, which neither does Kira, which is what's so great about the revelation at the end, because she's starting to doubt herself sufficiently that there's a part of her who believes this could all be true. That's what's necessary. And and in the end, it's the revelation of what she didn't know was happening that finally, causes the cascade of, oh, holy shit, I know now what they're fucking onto. at the same time, obviously, as the viewer is, and it's very well crafted to put you into that position where you're coming to the revelation at the same time as the character. Way too often in whodunit mysterious type of circumstances, that doesn't fucking happen. It's too obvious. The mystery is too clearly able to be cracked, and it's not the case. A, because you don't really understand what the motivations are, and B, it is a huge actual change in our understanding of Cardassians that there's a high-ranking member of the Central Committee in the form of Tekeni Gamor, uh, a great character who is one of those isn't a one-shot but not quite recurring. Happy to tell you
Mm.
that
Good.
yeah, that is also a dissident, and that there are actually Cardassians who don't fucking like the way things have been turning out, which
High
is
place, because we know there's
yeah,
Cardassians that are not happy from Quark's girlfriend episode. You know, there's rebel students out there or whatever that Garak
or
tried to.
duet where there's somebody who's willing to fall on their sword because their moral horror and everything that's gone on is finally overridden their sanity.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there trying to punch holes in this little scheme that the Obsidian Order is playing here. The only thing that I can think that Kira really could have latched on to know that she is not a Cardassian would have been like, if these rooms feel too dark, if she's cold. No, yeah, if she's hot, because we know that Cardassians like warm, dark places. It makes sense if all of this is so. Like that's the only level of detail I can think of in any of this that she could really latch on to, is like, hey, it's physically uncomfortable here. I do have to be a Bajoran after all.
The best scene in the episode to me is when Tekeni Gamor is brought into the room. So this guy is immediately built up as a huge fucking deal. He's a legate, which means he's basically at an admiral level. He's on the Central Committee, so he is part of the governance of all of Cardassia. So this is a prince of his kind, right? This is the highest ranking Cardassian we've ever met. And when he comes into the room to see who he thinks is his daughter, the way they shift the scene and start shooting it is basically from his perspective, right? And it puts you in his shoes as a father who hasn't seen his daughter for 10 years. And he comes in, and there she is. Kira is like closed herself off. She's on the couch. She has like literally made herself small as possible, bringing her knees and her arms, and essentially acts like A, she doesn't know who this guy is. B, she's in total rejection of who she is. And she says shit that would be the worst things in the world to hear if you're Tekeni Gamor, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that total rejection of her identity and his obvious love for her, right? The fact that Les Landau was able to kind of make that fucking hit just by changing the perspective, because you were overall the camera was by the where she was when she was talking to Entek, and then when Tekeni comes in, the camera comes way back to where Tekeni is standing, and she feels isolated and alone and scared, and she's lashing out at her father, and that's what it makes you feel. And it's like all from camera placement and the economy of how you are structuring the scene so that now we know we're getting what he thinks is happening. It's so fucking good, dude. Like I don't like this kind of like delicate artistry as it relates to shot placement and how you edit the scene so it makes it you feel that way, so that you start to understand on a subconscious level this story's not about her, it's about this fucking guy and what he is being exposed to now. He's being manipulated by a circumstance that Entek has set up to make him emotional. And that's where it like that's it. There it is.
That's a lot of detail to put into a 45-minute episode of television that, again, watching through Voyager and Enterprise, like, it's easy just to throw slop up, it be good enough, and then move on to the next episode. Like, these
Absolutely.
are people doing, there is care, I dare say maybe some love in what these guys are doing. Also, look at the credits on this. Again, it's written by Robert Hewitt Wolf. There's no teleplay, there's nothing else. Like, this dude, cradle to grave, rode this thing and got Les Landau to like give a shit about this thing to shoot it in this interesting way where you're able to pick up on stuff that I certainly had no comprehension of, because I didn't know that this was going to turn out to be a fucking banger episode with this great plot twist. I figured it was just, we're trying to trick access codes out of Kira. So another guy's got additional perspective, and that's Garak, who
Yes.
goes over to the med bay and it's like, because the prison camp lady researcher's like, hey, where's your major at? Because I think she got kidnapped on Azeroth, and we don't know if it's a smoke monster that got her or.
Just a quick hit, like there's a small scene in the wardroom when they're talking about what might have happened, and there was an energy discharge near where that site of that camp was, and Odo's like, was she beamed away? And Dax kind of looks down, just nods her head, and then Odo leaves, and then Dax turns to Cisco and is like, that energy discharge could have been her being killed by a disruptor or a phaser set to kill, right? Like, it's one or the other, and I can't tell you which one it is.
Very close technologies, this disintegration protocol.
Yeah, disintegrate or disintegrate.
A lot of people don't like her. Like, she killed a lot of kids, I think, and this is a really good, hey, gotcha, bitch. Like, her and O'Brien are both high assassination risk targets, I think, from the Cardassians and other people. We just constantly have to second guess, like, did someone just kill our friend out of personal revenge? This crazy thing we think our friend did are they actually doing it? Are they helping more murderers? Because the shoe fits. I'm just saying.
But as you noted, not long after, Garak is like, hey, Bashir, can we go have coffee? And he's like, no, I'm tired. I'm like, how about this instead? I have dirt and we need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Is the subtle part not going to work? All right, I don't care. Here.
How did he get access to this? Because in my theory, the Obsidian Order wants more control over Cardassia, and they want to ferret out rebels, essentially. Not rebels, but, deep state detractors. This is now the second time that Garak has dealt with this situation, which is there are people who don't like what's happening on Cardassia and are working to change it. The first time it was Quark's girlfriend, and he murdered a gull, which is part of Central Command, right?
The military officer. Yeah.
This time he directly works against the Obsidian Order or a faction of the Obsidian Order.
I think that if you view it through this lens, which is to say, word got out that she got potentially kidnapped, he tapped into his resources to say, like, is there some sort of op going on where there's some reason you have Kira Nerys? And he got word back that, like, yes, because he's not, he's operating outside the system. At a minimum, regardless of exactly what way you choose to view it, he's operating outside the system. He might be operating outside the system as an unofficial agent that is still used. He might be operating outside of it as a total exile. But whatever he's doing, he has gathered that information. His intention is not to personally disrupt what's going on. It's that he wants to keep his bread buttered, so he's going to tell the people who are presently keeping him in safety where the first officer of the space station is. And
so by the end of this, since we've already spoiled that, haha, it's all a thing to get the legate. Kira Nerys is just a bystander that happened to look like his daughter. Let's jump to the end here real quick. The jig is up. The legate is like, hey, I'm gonna zip you away to safety. You're my daughter. I'm willing to throw my life away. Also, I'm gonna casually mention that I am part of the detract. What do they call them? The resistance.
The dissident movement. So it's interesting. So that all develops. There's a lot of great emotional scenes. The guy who plays Kenny Gamora, I think we're kind of breezing past him. Great actor, brings that sort of fatherly gravitas to the role. Demonstrates like he's that how powerful he is, how certain he is that this is his daughter. You get a lot of great background about how he didn't want her to do this. He actually wanted her to be a musician. There's lots of these hints that he's more of a softer side of the Cardassian government, and so there's a lot of this information that's given to you before it all comes out. And the process that Kira goes through of the doubt, and then seeing the recording, and then seeing her own body as it's presented to her, leading her to a psychological crisis breaking point in which Kenny Gamora can step in as a father.
I do love her accusation, like where she just continues to reject all this. She's like, for all I know, this is all a hollow suite. And it's like, yes, that's always a hollow suite. This complicated escape room you're in that has not only this home residence and has automated doors, but even has automated windows.
Yes.
Everything seems like a a Rube Goldberg trap that you have to overcome to trigger the ending event.
But the manipulation works, and our first real red shirt shows up. Guy who is here to give exposition, then die.
Well, let's just go through the numbers, I guess, at this point. Garak tells Bashir tells Sisko, then Sisko extorts Garak. Hey, thank you for this very valuable information. Your reward for telling me where Kira Nerys is, I'm now going to twist your arm behind your back to put you in a life-threatening situation. And if you don't do that, I'm going to kick you off the station, and I'm going to let your haters kill you, or force your haters to kill you.
He goes, Commander, this is extortion. And he just says, yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I act like I'm not doing it, right?
I'll
like
blackmail
Quark.
Fuck it. I'll extort you. No Starfleet shirt, no service. You're getting both barrels.
I'm going to fly a Federation warship into Cardassian space to the Cardassian homeworld under false pretenses, and you're going to help me.
Again, the use of the fucking Defiant, like, this is runabout work. No, we're gonna bring our fucking gunboat, our as illegal as fuck gunboat
with a cloaking device.
It's not just for going into the Gamma Quadrant looking for the Founders. It's not just for taking my friend to a doctor's appointment. Now it's for going to the Cardassian homeworld. I love that when the patrols catch him, he's like, hey, quick, pull up those Snapchat filters.
Garak gets to demonstrate his full power for exactly one moment in a glorious fashion.
He kills somebody. I'd say he gets to demonstrate his full power twice.
Anyone can pull a trigger, but like, they're about to get caught in 4K by a Cardassian warship. The jig is about to be up. Some bad shit is about to happen. And he just goes to Sisko and looks him dead in the eye and say, if you let me fix this problem, I can fix this problem. But you're just going to have to let me fix it.
Which is important because prior to that, when he's being extorted into this, he flips out and he's like, this is bullshit. This isn't why I brought you the information. And I'm going to tell you right now, if things go south, it's every man for himself, and I will sell you out in a fucking instant. Zero fucks. And I wrote in my notes, I'm like, that I think is the first time he has not talked in italics. And Sisko immediately calls him out on it. It's like, I think that is the first time you've ever been completely honest. And Garak's like, you're goddamn right. Do not trust me. I don't want to do this. I'm a scorpion and I will sting you in the fucking neck, Mr. Frog. So their balls being about to be smushed between automated doors here, you know, it's a big moment for Sisko to be like, okay, here's this guy that said he will fuck me over completely, and he is now telling me turn off the Snapchat filter for this pretty passable, like, you know, classic Star Trek, like, I've got important supplies, I gotta run, leave me alone. You don't want to be the guy who's, you know, gets in trouble for waylaying me. And the patrol's like, listen, the Maquis are doing some real crazy shit here. Everybody's getting boarded and scanned. Like, this is a non-option. And for him to trust Garak in this moment where he could have very easily been sold out, Garak could be like, this thing's as illegal as fuck. It's got a cloak on it and really great guns. Impound this bitch right now.
And so they drop the Snapchat filter, and it suddenly is a human and a Cardassian, and he just belts out it. This is the exact quote. This is an Alpha Red priority mission, clearance verification 9218 Black. By the authority of the Central Command, you are ordered to turn your ships around, erase all records of this encounter from your logs, and speak of it to no one. And it just works.
Well, and that's going to get to my end. They get through that encounter. Presumably there's a cloaking device. Presumably they time the window right. I guess you could transport while cloaked, right?
Yeah.
You just can't do it through shields. And if you're
correct
cloaked, then, you know, maybe Cardassian sensors just aren't that great. Anyways, they're en route. The cavalry is coming. Down on the surface, the Obsidian Order is able to successfully antagonize Kira Nerys to a mental breakdown point. And there's this great pressurizer in this, which is the drugs to restore your memory should have taken hours to work. This has been days. and we are willing to take your daughter to a torture camp to get the information we need and reboot her brain. On top of the fact they've done a pretty great job creating this situation where maybe she's going crazy and maybe this is all real. So it's a lot for her. The dad's forced to watch it. It's a lot for her. She watches the little video of her confessing finally. The dad's desperately pleading with her, like, please, remember who you are because I love you and I don't want them to take you and I think they are going to take you. Finally, it's the breaking point of, all right, I can't let them take you. I know these guys are bad. I'm against this movement. I'm against the state. Like, this is well within my wheelhouse here to have this defection because I'm already a doubter and I already object to what they're doing. I'm going to bring in my little assistant and he's going to scoop you off to safety. It's not worth the risk of you actually being my daughter and being tortured. I'd rather you just be this other person and be happy and safe. Here's your mother's necklace.
And so when the red shirt shows up, it's when you get the oh, by the way, your father is a member of the dissident movement.
We're going to have this conversation directly in front of the camera I told you is there above the windowsill. Like, you sure that camera's only on when the...
I think they might have lied to you, bud. Yeah.
Guys, you don't say the silent part out loud.
And so that's when the cascade of realization hits Kira and explains all of this was work. All of this was a work. I am here specifically so those words just got spoken. They were after you to commit a crime, doing this, saying that you're a dissident, and essentially outing your own disloyalty to the government. And Tech then dramatically arrives, and right at the moment where Kira's explaining, like, I got it. I figured out what happened. Now I get it.
These
Motherfuckers.
Fucking Cardassians. Took me a minute to see.
And Tech's like, yes, we are shifty. Thank you, Major. Like, appreciate it. I'm about to get promoted. I caught this guy being dirty. And he is having a victory speech. He is being gloaty. He kills the red shirt. And everything is about to go wrong, except, of course, that's when Garak, Sisko, and a bag show up. And of course, the bag is Odo. And he delicately disarms everyone, and they're able to start to effect their escape.
Garak's there with Sisko, very openly being traitorous. Like, he could have just stayed up on the ship.
Right. This could have been Odo and Lieutenant Porkins or something. Like,
they brought the Defiant. There's a whole ass crew of 50 people up there, presumably. Yeah. Garak did not need to come down. Elam, itchy finger, Garak with his thumb on the trigger. Obsidian Order guy's like, hey, you motherfucker, what are you doing? This is you're helping a guy with treason and blah blah blah. Perfect line out of Garak. Treason, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. And we're going to take this guy, and he's going to get to live in exile because this isn't Voyager. We are not object to having repeat characters doing cool stuff in other places until we need them again and actually bring them back on camera. So we're all going to leave. And at this point, I'm like, I
like how Kenny Gamar is like, like kind of bewildered by all of it. And Sisko's like, hey, Leggett, you should probably come with us. And he's like, yeah, seems good. Seems right. Whatever. You got it.
I don't know what's happening. Getting all of the shit out of my house. Like, I know, boy, did I just dodge a real trip to a torture camp here. Let's get the fuck out. Right now. And I'm just kind of like, man, you gotta lie. Because Obsidian Order guy came in with 2 lackeys, right?
He did.
Where are they at?
They got disarmed and then just stand over to the side. They're just not on camera off camera.
Because there's some real loose ends here. At first, I was like, all right, they're leaving the Obsidian Order guy alive, and maybe that's just Garak not willing to cross a line and like really violate this guy's agenda. But then as they're leaving, wouldn't you know it, that dude goes to draw his boot phaser or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Garak spins around and goes, I guess we're doing this again. Zap. I feel like he almost knew it was going to happen. He's like, man, I can't pull a cargo bay. I can't just murder them openly in front of these guys again. Like, I'm going to have to let this dude Like, real Jedi moves here. Like, I can't
Yeah,
strike him down, but if he grabs a gun, then I can kill him. Like,
it's like you ever see Justified on FX?
no.
You know, like you just I just gotta wait for you to draw, then you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Just put your hand on your gun. That's fine. Just go ahead.
So I've got this new post-it note on my computer over here, next to that Ram is the dad and Nog is his child. This is my little cheat sheet here.
It's good that you have that. Yeah.
And this is going to be the number of people that Garak kills, which is now sitting at 2 people, right? That we have seen.
We're 2 disintegrations already on screen. Yes.
Can he beat Lon Suitor's numbers?
Possibly, although Lon Suitor did like rack up a huge body count of Kmart Klingons.
All Garak needs to do is get 1 ship blown up, and he can clear those numbers easy.
So don't worry, you'll be adding some tally marks to that over the next several years.
Sure, I will. So he evaporates that guy. I go in my note. I'm like, all right, cool. Black ops, no witnesses, right? But there's still the other 2 guys. Like, he might as well just fucking disintegrated all 3 of them, and the op status can be question marks. Although, again, I'm sure that camera's on and recording, so who fucking cares anyways?
I think it's while they don't address it, I think that the plausible explanation is everyone's going to stay quiet because they did kidnap Kira Nerys. Right? Like, they were guilty of doing something bad first, and then the Federation rolled in and rolled that back out. And everyone's just going to shut the fuck up because that's in everyone's interest.
No one's going to be able to blame Sisko and his actions in this. The real question is Garak and his relationship with the Obsidian Order after this, as he has...
and that's his problem, basically.
Fucked over a... And I liked when he murders. He was like, oh, it's a shame. I did like that guy. And it's like,
oh, wow.
He did like him.
I think he did too. I think he actually did mind him, and then was like, "Oh, pity." Yeah, it was like, and it was like I did enjoy all the other characters looking back and be like, "That's a sign. That's a warning sign that all of us need to keep in mind. The man kills the people he likes."
So they get back on the ship, on the station, and Kira has a parting word with the legate where she's like, I think you are a good dude. I think you really do love your daughter. She's lucky. And, basically I owe you my life. You were willing to throw everything away for the chance that I really was your daughter. You're a good dude. And he's like, here, have this, keep the necklace or a fucking
bracelet,
whatever. Leaves me hoping that we're going to see this guy again. Quark just got his DLC victory Klingon connection. She's getting her insider man over with the Cardassians, and he goes, hey, I've got something I want to say if you'll listen to some fatherly advice, which I'm getting ready to hear some sort of like great wisdom. And it's like, you better fucking watch your ass around Garak, because that dude's a snake. He's a scorpion. He will stab you in the fucking neck. And she's like, I will keep that in mind.
Thanks, Dad. I mean, sometimes fatherly advice is confirming my priors, but it's good to have them confirmed. Thank you.
So again, I mean, you're saying this guy's going to pop back up, seemingly that this is now an ally that Kira Nerys and the Federation has forged within the Cardassian dissidence movement, who was well placed. But again, I need to look at this episode where there's the most thorough of intent across the board. Garak coming to them with the information, hey, I know where Kira Nerys is. Garak having a code that tells the patrol vessel to fuck off that works, despite the fact he phrases it like, oh, this is just something I heard. You're led to believe that, hey, maybe this is an old code the guy had that he was able to spook this dude.
Yeah. That it was
he did present a code that's fuck off. This is a priority mission. The amount of conversation that they have in front of Kira Nerys, seemingly to stress her out, but to really make the legate see her being stressed out. Still, it's exposing her to all of this, which in the end endears her to this guy. We know that the Obsidian Order is able to run these kooky-ass deep-level ops. Like, my first conspiracy theory is, what if she really is this Cardassian? They do the molecular level examination of her DNA. Like, yeah, no, you're real. But so they lay that to rest. But, like, giving Robert Hewitt Wolf full credit and playing the level of conspiracy theory we do, like, what if the whole point of this wasn't to expose a dissident in the movement, but was to manufacture a spy that now the Federation and Kira Nerys think that they have this future operative, and maybe that guy is actually the
Because NTech explicitly stated on screen that Kira wasn't intended to survive any of this. Right? Like, your appearance at a trial will be dramatic, but I'm willing to forego it if you give us any trouble. Basically saying, like, you're never leaving, right? Like, we're going to use you as a tool as part of the show trial. We're going to give this guy.
Mhm.
So, like, nothing that happened there was supposed to ever emerge
Or
from that experience.
NTech was lower on the totem pole of what the big operation here was really, and NTech was disposable, and he was never meant, or if he survived, great, but Kira Nerys was always going to survive. Maybe NTech didn't know that. Maybe Garak is still operating, and he brought the people there to extradite Kira and this spy to go off and further. Who knows? That's probably not what happened, but I'm just saying at this point, the Obsidian Order is so sneaky. Maybe this was all a shell game, and the real goal here was to create a reliable Cardassian operative that the Federation will trust, that is really still loyal to the Obsidian Order. Who the fuck knows? These guys are capable of literally anything. That's the whole point of this episode. Nothing is for certain.
I do like that you're thinking that way. I think that's good that the episode is good enough that that's how you want to think, right? Like, that's a compliment.
Because the biggest flaw in this episode is that anybody in the Cardassian Obsidian Order could be stupid enough to go back to Deep Space Nine for a kidnapping victim. This is Scooby-Doo level dummy villain work here. After you just got your dick slammed in the corridor with the Miles O'Brien trial, it should be abundantly clear, like, you know what? Let's not kidnap upper management from Deep Sheets 9, because despite the fact it's a gas station, these motherfuckers are real, and tangling with them hurts. They've got plot armor, and they've got hero weapons over there. Maybe we should kidnap people from anywhere else. Because this is a bad track record of us getting fucked and murdered and embarrassed. Just leave these motherfuckers alone. You're going to try to expose the legate of whatever. You tell me there's no one else that looks anything like his daughter. You're going to go.
It's got to be Kira Nerys. It's got to be her. Did you see what happened when she and the other murder hobo they employ went to our prison camp? They found like their Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah,
like, Jesus Christ. They ran such hot dick over us. It created an international incident.
Leave these motherfuckers alone. Why would you kidnap her unless the whole point of this was to get Cisco involved, to build this trust bridge with this legate who could be an Obsidian Order agent there to manipulate them somehow? Like, it is ridiculous. You are grabbing main cast members from the most visible showing of Federation authority in this part of the galaxy.
If only Star Trek could be that self-aware. I don't think it ever is.
Listen, I just watched an incredibly intricate episode that tells me it can be that deep. And, again, even if it turns out that the legate is legitimately a dissonant guy who had to run from his home, and, they can trust him. Like, on paper, the way I'm seeing what just happened here, like, no, you cannot trust him.
What we can trust is that we're going to continue having some good episodes here. What are we watching next week?
Do we ever get to... I want to say also, I hope we see this guy again. I kind of hope we see the real Ileana Gamora. Like, if she really is a legit Obsidian Order...
I don't want you to hope for things that won't happen, so I'm going to tell you that doesn't happen.
Because, boy, if she makes a convincing Cardassian, the Cardassian should make a convincing Kira. Like, what a great time to bring her into spy. Like,
they choose to go with other threads with this plot. So
sure. I wonder if Ileana has what goofy novel did she get to be a part of in Memory Beta?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I can only imagine.
There's going to be a new sexy sister pairing. Maybe she gets to go to the fucking mirror universe. And...
Hold on. I'm going to fucking find out. Okay. Ileana Gamora, Memory Beta. Yes, oh my God, there's so much. She's in so many books.
Called it.
She's in 6 books. Jesus.
Mm.
Oh my God. Okay.
Boy.
All right. I don't even want to know.
All right. I just hope she gets to end up in the mirror universe and she could be the little pet that Mirror Kira always wanted. Deep Space Nine, season 3, episode 6 coming up. This is gonna be the abandon. Quark. Oh, we got Jem'Hadar on screen. Quark finds an abandoned Jem'Hadar child, and Odo is the only person who can control him. I wonder why.
So this is an episode that is got like the most clear A plot B plot shit I've ever seen go on. Because you've got the A plot of we're going to do a lot of Jem'Hadar Dominion lore stuff that's very necessary, and then the B plot is something that we're going to intensely enjoy, Peter, and that is Jake Sisko is the most amazing player you've ever seen.
Coxman.
Fucking Riker has nothing on the chicks that this fucking teenager can pull, evidently, because we finally get to meet his double girlfriend. So strap yourselves in. I think we're going to have a good time with this one next week.
Looking forward to it.
As am I, sir. See everyone then.